Iman Vellani from Markham, Ontario. And just like her character, she was a Marvel superfan in high school. She'd pause movie trailers to study each frame. She'd post her theories to Reddit. She dressed up as Ms. Marvel for Halloween. And now here she is playing her on screen. I'm delighted to have her here live in our studio to talk about it all.
You've done your research.
That's all I've done.
Wow.
I got nothing.
I'm impressed. It's more than most people, I must say.
I have no questions. I just have that research, and now we got to go.
We can sit in silence. It's great.
How you doing? You doing all right?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Congratulations on this thing.
Thanks, man.
So can you tell me more of the story? So you're in Markham. This is your first ever acting role?
First ever audition, first ever everything. Huge Marvel fan, as you know. And my aunt got a casting call forwarded to her through WhatsApp.
Hold on. Your aunt got a casting call.
It was part of this brown group chat that she never opens. One day she opened it, and there it was, as things just appear. So, yeah.
And she sends it to you? Or?
She sends it to me. I mean, I was a huge Miss Marvel fan. I made that very vocal. My family knew every, bit of my love for Marvel. So she sent it to me, and I was like, I'm not doing this. Do you understand what a scam is? Because this is a scam. It was literally a blank page. It said, Miss Marvel casting call, send headshot and resume, did this email. And I was like, bro, like what?
Send your social insurance number and $10,000.
So, and then my mom's like, just do it. And I was like, fine. I sent in the one photo of myself and a very academic resume, and they sent back sides, the scenes, and I knew exactly which comic books they pulled them from, and I was like, oh my God, it's real. They made me sign an NDA, and I can't. I was too scared, making excuses for myself to not do it. I have a math test tomorrow. I can't. And 3 a.m. hits the day it's due, and I'm like, my 10-year-old self is going to hate me if I don't even try. Yeah. So did it. Whatever, sent it, and then 2 days later I get a call. They're like, do you have a lawyer? We want to fly you to LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you take your dad, right?
I took my dad. It was in February, right before the pandemic, and I was just having the greatest time of my life. I was so starstruck by Sarah Finn, the Marvel casting director, and Louis D'Esposito, the EP at Marvel, and I was just like, God, it was amazing.
Hold on, you're enough of a fan that you know who the casting director is?
Yeah, it was funny because she was like, oh, so we're going to have one of the directors from first season of Agent Carter do your screen test. And I was like, is it Louis D'Esposito? And she's like, yeah, you weirdo. Yeah, so it was great. And then I met Lou the next day, and he comes out. He's like, hi, I'm Lou. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, hi, I know. And I never let go of his hand.
But at any point in this, are you thinking you got this role?
Well, now that I have it, I can say that yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to because what do you do after you experience this little taste of what Marvel life could be like?
Yeah.
And then you don't get the part.
Yeah.
So I didn't even tell anyone I had to audition. When I went to LA, I told my friend that I was going to Texas because all brown people have family in Texas,
right.
So that's believable.
Right.
And then I got back and my teachers were like, how's Texas? How's your family? I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, yeah, no, family's great, good. But yeah, it was weird.
Talk me through the day you find out you get the role.
Last day of high school.
Last day of high school?
Hell yeah.
Did you go to high school in Markham?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of the high school you went to?
Unionville High School.
Unionville High School. So last day of Unionville High School.
Last day of Unionville High School was over Google Hangouts.
Oh, bummer.
Because I was a COVID graduate. And
oh, man.
We did our last Zoom call or whatever, and my friends and I were going to go thrifting and get burritos. And we were picking up another friend, and Sarah Finn and Krista, our casting directors, text me. They're like, can you get on this call? Smiley face.
What time of day is this?
Midday, afternoon.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I'm busy.
Right.
My friends didn't know I had auditioned. And they were like, we just sent you the link, get on, winky face. And I'm like, okay, freaking out now. I get out of my friend's car. I'm on her driveway. I open the link, and all I see is Kevin Feige. And Kevin Feige is my third favorite person in the world.
Can you explain who he is to people listening? Kevin
Feige is the president of Marvel. Mm-hmm. He's my god. I know, blasphemy, but I adore him, and he is Marvel, and
So you get on the link, and the head honcho.
Head honcho's there.
Marvel is there.
And then I know there was 10 other people, but out of my memory, I just solely focused on Kevin Feige. And they were arguing over who was going to tell me, and I was just heavy breathing the entire time. And my friends were watching from the car, and I was trying not to have a reaction because they didn't know. That didn't work out. I was swearing, and they did cut that out of the video that they recorded without my permission. Yeah,
and we're here to tell them about it.
Hell yeah.
Hold on. So you get this. You're told you get the gig.
Yeah.
What goes through your head?
Are you sure? Like me? You spent 2 years trying to look for someone in me. It was like the greatest imposter syndrome. I felt numb, could not feel anything. And then I told my friends and they were screaming at the top of their lungs. And then we got burritos.
Why did you think, are you sure?
It's so unimaginable. And my family is so far removed from the film industry. And this is like, it was too good to be true. You know, like I grew up just obsessing over these characters and so enamored by my Marvel and you know, the producers and everyone who wears a Marvel Studios logo on their caps and jackets. And now I'm working with them and I have my idols' phone numbers. That's like, it's too much for my tiny little brain to handle.
I was just thinking, you know, it reminds me of the Simu. Simu Liu's comes on the show a bunch of times, and he was Shang-Chi in the Marvel universe, and you know, he similar kind of thing. You know, I mean, mind you, he was unlike you. He was a working actor. He had worked at all, unlike yourself. But he kind of gets, you know, in his mind, he gets plucked out of, you know, relative obscurity to become a Marvel superhero. Did you hear from him?
I did. I actually met him only like a month ago, but over Zoom. And then he texted me, very sweet. He's like, "Hey, Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi over here. Welcome to the circus." That's what he said.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I responded, and he art bombed me.
Can you tell me? I responded, and he threw his phone in the lake.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about Ms. Marvel? Like, I don't know that much about Ms. Marvel.
Yes.
Tell me about Ms. Marvel and why you related specifically to her before this.
So the character premiered in 2014 in the comics, and she was just a 16-year-old kid from Jersey City, adored the Avengers, particularly Captain Marvel, and I think a lot of that appeal kind of comes from the simplicity of a hero's life. You know, they fight bad guys and they look cool doing it. And Kamala has to deal with freaking boys and high school and religion and family drama and just it's complicated and confusing, and growing up sucks and it's hard, especially when you have brand new superpowers. So she's juggling a lot, and we kind of just watch her subvert all these expectations and labels that were thrown at her and become her own version of what a superhero can look like. And for me, seeing, you know, obsessing over Iron Man my whole comic book life, and those are the only comics I ever read, and when I stumbled across Miss Marvel, it was like, there's no way I'm gonna like her. Like, I've never really found an attachment to female superheroes until Kamala, and it was like this comic book held up a mirror in front of me. It was insane.
In what way?
She was a Muslim Pakistani superhero fanatic. I was a Muslim Pakistani superhero fanatic. And it wasn't about being Muslim or Pakistani. It was just a part of her life. And that's how I feel. You know, like, people always want to... It's always like the cis men that are, you know, get to be real individuals on screen, and everyone else is labeled as a representation of their culture or their religion.
Symbolic of a group,
exactly,
know, as opposed to individuals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was always the case, and Miss Marvel never felt like that. She felt very different from all the other Muslim teenagers I'm used to seeing in media, and so I fell in love with, you know, that storytelling, and then the fact that at the core of it, it's about a nerd. It's not about this Pakistani or a Muslim. It's about this girl who's obsessed with the Avengers and just wants to be them and wants to share her goodness and has this innate desire to want to help people with the powers that she has, and it's just so wonderful to see.
How do you possibly approach something like this when you have such reverence for it? Like, how do you bring yourself to it?
That's the thing. They were just like, be yourself. Even during my last couple screen tests, which happened over Zoom, Seraphin would kind of call me before them. I think she really wanted me to get the part. And you know, that was kind of a lot of pressure for me because I could see that. She was giving me so much special attention. Not that I know how these auditions work, but it definitely does not, you know, happen like that, where she would call me and walk me through scenes and give me notes beforehand. And she was like, don't just learn the lines. Don't study them. Be yourself. Read them as you would read them. We want Iman Vellani. That's it. You are Kamala. Like, and that's so hard for me to hear because I'm 17. I don't know who the frick I am. Like, it's weird and
you don't know how to act.
No, I mean, I did theater in high school, but high school theater does not compare to the Marvel universe. Let me say that.
Okay, I thought you were like I thought you were like, you know.
I mean, I went to an art school, but it was like, you know, 15 kids who all think that they're DiCaprio. It's not the greatest place to be.
No, maybe not.
No.
Maybe not. Okay, so you have to figure out how to bring yourself to this role while figuring out how to act at this level.
Yeah, so it's really just kind of figuring out who I am as a person. And so the directors and producers would really just like have a lot of conversations with me before we started filming the show of just, so who did you like in high school? Who are your favorite teachers? What was your favorite subject? Just like really talking to me about high school, and they brought so much of my stories into Kamala's character, and so it was just easy for me to kind of relive my high school experience, but in her clothes.
I'm struck by something you said earlier when you said that when your aunt got this WhatsApp message about a casting call for Ms. Marvel, you thought it was you said it's almost definitely a scam.
Yeah.
Because this all sounds so unlikely.
Yeah.
Not you and your talent, because you're incredible in the show, but the story.
Yeah.
That someone would be plucked out of high school.
I know.
And put.
I know my story. No, but I feel like I've already kind of processed it, and I'm watching people process it by doing all these interviews. They're like, do you know how crazy this is? Do you realize how this never happens? Do you understand how rare this is?
I understand. What I'm more struck by is how you sell this to your family.
Yeah.
Like how, like I was thinking, like if this ever happened to me, how do I tell my mom?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, Mom.
My mom was the one who told me to kind of go for it. I wasn't going to.
There's a scene in the show where you trick your, we'll say, very protective parents into letting you go to a Marvel convention. And I read that you called that a historical reenactment.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about that scene and how it showed up in your real life?
Oh, my God. Let me tell you about that day. So that was like one of the days that Kevin Feige came to visit set. And when we were doing the rehearsal for it, I was so jittery, and I couldn't, I was like hyperventilating. And one point in the scene, I grabbed the person who plays my brother by his beard. And in the take that he was watching, I grabbed him so hard he almost fell because I was just like, I had so much energy. But no, it's, I personally relate to that just because like when I had to go to parties in high school, I would like literally put it in my parents' head like weeks in advance that I need this to happen and they need to let me go and this is why. And just, always relating it back to education is very important because, our immigrant parents bring our children to these, developed countries for education and for them to have a higher quality of life. And so they need to take full advantage of it and not go to parties and do weird things with boys. And so that was a lot of what we kind of wanted to channel in that scene.
I'm also struck by something you said earlier where you said that like essentially white cis dudes get to be individuals and that if you're not a white cis dude, you often have to be symbolic or representative of another group. And at the same time, I read a lot of comments on the trailer, and a lot of the comments were, she looks like me.
Yeah.
These were individual people. She looks like me. She feels like me. That's like that's so meaningful to me.
Yeah. When
you read those comments, of which I'm sure you have, how do you process that?
I can't really, but it's honestly really comforting because that's how I felt when I picked up the comics. And, not a lot of people read comics anymore. I mean, I don't know anyone who does within my real life Reddit community aside. But, it's so incredible that we can kind of do what the comics did for other people and for a lot of young people who never got to see themselves on screen in a positive light before. This is hopefully also going to inspire a lot of future generations of creatives, South Asian and Muslim creatives, to kind of tell their story because there's like literally 2 billion Muslims and South Asians in the world, and I just found that out. That's 1 in 4 people. And, Miss Marvel cannot represent every single person, but hopefully this is a start, and it's a good start. Like, I really do think that we've hit the mark in creating Kamala and making her as palpable and specific of a character as possible because specificity is representation. When you see, the brown friend, the brown best friend or the black best friend, it's just they're generalizations of cultures, and it doesn't really feel like, you can ever relate to these people because they're never fleshed out. They're just there for representation and to make it look diverse, but it's not real. And Kamala feels real, and just, being on set with all our other cast members, they've all brought so much of themselves into their characters, and our South Asian and Muslim creatives all have a special connection to the comics and the source material, so they've brought their own stories, and it's such a specific character, and I really think it's going to hit home for a lot of people.
Go back in your mind and go back to the person who got that text from their aunt that they were doing a casting call for this role for Ms. Marvel. And talk to her for me. What would you say to her at this stage?
I never respond to my aunt's texts. So, it would just be another day. It was when my mom kept forwarding it
No,
to
I mean,
me.
what would you say to you? What would you say to the younger version of
Oh,
you? What would you
God.
say to the you in that?
I don't know. I think I did everything right. I mean, I got this far, and so I don't want to say be yourself. I think trust your instincts. I was really doubting myself. I didn't think I had the talent or the charisma or any of the on-screen presence to bring this character to life, because I really looked up to Kamala and her creator, Sana Amanat, who's also a producer on a show, co-created Miss Marvel. And when I found those comics, I just went into a deep dive of her and G. Willow Wilson, who's another writer. And I watched all their TED Talks and their interviews, and I'm like, God, I want their jobs. Like, they're so cool. They're working at Marvel, and they're brown. And so I just, that was kind of really inspiring for me. And so I just wanted to do it justice, and I hope that I have.
You have. When you watch this story, there's no part of, like, when you watch this show, there's no part of you that goes, oh yeah, this is her first time acting. Like, you're incredible in it.
Nice.
And we feel so much pride for you here in Canada. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, man.
Iman Vellani is Ms. Marvel. The brand new 6-episode series premieres exclusively on Disney+.